And we're up. Per usual, for those people that are just watching this after, it's going to be kind of boring. For those people that are watching during, certainly better. Just bringing myself up here on YouTube. That way I can follow along with any comments anybody has. Comments are welcome, especially live. Hey, Barry. Hang on, guys. Let me adjust the camera here a little bit. Smokin', Larry, Leonard, and Craig. Hey, guys. Can you all see me? Let's see. Smiley finally got the live stream. Sweet. Welcome. What's happening today? Actually, I've had a long couple of days. I'm sorry that I missed 2 days of live. Yeah, what did I do the last couple of days? Tuesday was just a long day. Wednesday, I got off work early. I actually did some chainsaw milling with this chain. I got a 42-inch bar off of, I think, Arborist site. And the guy had a used chain with it that's actually fairly sharp, but it's not ground properly for milling. And it's pretty used, so you know it's square ground. It's used, so it needs a little bit of love here to make it right for milling. And I'm only going to get a couple of goes out of it, but that's all that I need for what I'm doing. So, yeah. So it took me on an 8-foot log, oak log, little 2 feet in diameter average. Took me 45 minutes for the cut. Craig's officially on vacation, so you're going to be working on saws every day, right? And yes, it's a Harbor Freight grinder. I literally picked this off at Craigslist for 20 bucks. And I don't use the grinder a lot. I use it when chains are pretty rocked, or if I'm altering, or if it's a really long chain, or if I'm altering a chain for milling, because I can really set the degrees on here, which is nice. I set it to 10 degrees, and then basically pick a start point and go. And so we got to go a little further. That might do it. So, it's gonna take a bit of work to do, but I figured that while I was doing this, 288 sold on eBay for $202.50. Was it complete? So I figured I'd do this while we're hanging out with you guys. Again, this is not really how to convert a chain, but more like just me doing it and hanging out with you guys with whatever you want to talk about. So. Okay, let's see here. So let's see if we can get some grinding done. You guys are welcome to comment and talk about whatever you want. One of the things, yeah, it's Steel RS. One of the things about the 288s, of course, is that the plastics are pretty pricey. So if the whole thing's in kind of ass shape, it's going to be a bit to get that thing back to nice, you know? Yeah, this sure looks like Steel RS, and somebody square ground this. So I'm changing it to 10 degree, which will be better for milling and hopefully save me a little bit of time. There really isn't much left on this chain now. I've had a busy couple of days. Yesterday I ended up, after work and after doing the milling, I ended up going down to see my dental buddies down in Norwalk for study club. Which was cool, but I don't have the time to go all the way down there, you know, now. Well, smoking, you know, if you got an 066, that's great. But if it looks like it fell off a cliff, just do the math on what you think you have to put into it in order to get it back to, you know, a good running saw. If the saw in the cosmetic shape that it's in is worth like $500-600 in good mechanical shape, then you have to do the math and say, is it going to be worth it to bring it back, you know? I found a lot of saws, you get them for free, and it's still hard to make it pay. $394 carb adjustment grommet I got in a part slot. Do I want it? Barry, email me. Barry, here's my email. But Larry might be more interested in 394 parts at this point. I mean, it's not that I don't like 394 parts, but Larry might be. Larry, what do you think? Are you more interested in that sort of stuff at this point? Was there anything else in the parts lot that would make shipping it worth it? You know? Because usually shipping single parts is just not worth it. If it's a pile of parts, then it starts to be worth it. Tell you what, 42 inches is a long chain, even if it's skipped. Larry, maybe we can trade. Hey, Gavin. Yep, I got some left, Gavin. Gavin, do you want the 660 specific one, or do you want the main kit? OEM top end and flywheel. I don't need the top end, but always having flywheels is nice. Gotta hold on to those things. Gavin, you want a 660 and a 440. Okay. The best thing to do is, I just sold one today to a guy I call it a partial kit. It's two rods, 2 sleeves, the nuts, bolts, and washers shipped to the lower 48, and that's $120. It basically is a main kit, but without the M10 and the M14 rods. Hey, Dan. I'm converting a square ground steel RS chain to be used for milling. It's a heavily used chain, but it's working. Just the 290s are a pain in the neck to pull apart. They drive me crazy. Okay, that's 10 degrees for that side. Now we go for this side. Degrees, and we're good, and we're off and running. Working on a straight gas 2A MS280. Okay, I love straight gas saws. $394 versus $395. Always a good topic. So the $394 versus $395, I tend to be a $394 guy mainly because I like the intake block better than the intake boot. But like I've said before, and I'm basically quoting Spike 60 on this one. You can argue all you want which you like better, but the truth is that the intake boot has certainly become the predominant design on chainsaws. So out of the two designs, one has survived and one has not survived. And in the sense of marketplace, current saws in the marketplace. So the intake boot has certainly survived the marketplace. I tend to like the blocks better, but that's just me. As far as 394, 395, the 395 probably delivers a little smoother power delivery. The 394 is a little more aggressive feeling. It's the dual port versus quad port transfers thing. Other than that, there's a lot of the saws are basically the same. The intake system is different on the 395, but the air filters are the same, or at least you can get high top filters for 394. So it's a different carburetor, but it's more of the same. It's either you're taking the impulse through the block, which is 394, or you take the impulse through a tube, which is 395. So the rest of the carburetor is more or less the same. The cylinder heads obviously are slightly different. The flywheels and cranks are different only in the fact that 395 flywheels go with 395 cranks, 394 flywheels go with 394 cranks, but you can put a 394 crank and flywheel in a 395, and as long as you have that combo, you're good. Hey, Ken. So, a lot of it's personal. Like I've fallen into these 394s. I just saw the discussion on Facebook, on the Facebook chainsaw repair page, and given the same dollar amount, two saws, 394, 395, they both have the same bar, same chain, they're both used. Which one did you, same dollar amount, okay? Which one would you pick up? And between the two, I tend to be a 394 guy, but at the same money, without knowing the history on each saw, I'd probably pick the 395, and the reason is because of better parts availability. Obviously, the saw is going to be newer, so it's less likely of needing crank seals and bearings. 394s are generally older generation, and if you don't know the history on the saw, then you have to start scratching your head and saying, probably needs a rebuild. 395, less likely it needs a rebuild, just based on the length of time that saw has been on the planet. Okay. What else? That's kind of it off the top of my head. Just depends on which one you gravitate towards. I like the 394s. I just do. I have a bunch of them now, and I can still get most of the parts. I tend to find a bunch of the used parts on on eBay or whatever when I'm getting parts saws, so I don't really worry about that. And plus, I don't use these saws enough to, you know, to use them up. Hey, Brandon. I'm just grinding a chain, but I had to answer that question because it's a good one. It's a popular one too. So I'm converting this chain from regular square ground to round ground, but also 10 degree instead of 30 degree for milling. No joke, they're incredible saws. They really, I think they're both really good. Now, in the same comparison, if the two saws were not the same money, it certainly would be different. Yeah, you can get the 394s to run pretty good, Larry, no question. Well, let's put it like this. My 394 on that 45-minute cut burned through 2 tanks of fuel. One cut. About 2 feet in diameter, Craig. That's the double. Don't do that one. Brandon, I don't really have thoughts on the Husky top handles. If I was gonna go get a top handle, I'd probably get that Echo 2511, that little one. Hey, William. Yeah, so it takes me 20 minutes to empty a tank at full throttle cutting in the 394. Nick, you need tools. That's good. I have tools. What kind of tools are you looking for? Gavin, that's a little low. Nick, what saws are you working on? Up. Looks like we're done. So yeah, Nick, what saws are you working on? Gavin, it should gain some after break-in, but you shouldn't start that low. That's kind of low. On a 660, it's kind of low. So yeah, Nick, do you work on 242 XPs? Do you work on 880s? Do you work on 661s? Do you work on the old Husky 266s? I'm trying to think of all the weird stuff that I've got. How about 576s? So that's all like the weird outliers that the main kit doesn't really cover. Gavin shouldn't need mods to get like 150 pounds. You know, should be 140, 150 pounds, unless the squish is way off. Yeah, so Nick, if you're doing like 372s, if you're doing 440s, 660s, um, what else? 288s, old 262s. Basically, my kit covers all that stuff. The main kit does. And that's 170 shipped, Nick. If you want, just shoot me an email. Here's my email again. Just remove all the ampersands. Shoot me an email. Oh, you do 661s. So 661 is an oddball. So I have a special rod for that. A 1010 Pro Mech. Go away, Larry. Truthfully, I have no idea. I haven't tried it on a Pro Mech 1010. No. I really haven't tried them on any yellow saws, but they're really, assuming it's the same configuration where you have two bearings and you need to press crankcase halves together, my tools should theoretically fit. It's just a matter of having the ends correct, the threads on the ends correct. Actually, I don't even know if Buchan does. I don't even think he splits crankcases himself. He certainly tunes saws, but I haven't really seen him pull seals or do anything like that. You know, if he's removing a carburetor and doing a line, he certainly does that. But I haven't seen him do full case splits. Yeah, everybody's got their thing. You know, he likes Max. Well, that's great. You know, um, far as I can tell, you really can't get parts for him. So, you know, it's like, well, I like stuff you can get parts for. I kind of make a little bit of an exception for a 394, mainly because the parts are still fairly readily available. But, um, and it's just such a smooth saw. Yeah, so Nick, you need the full set, or you need the main kit and a 661 rod. So the main kit is 170 shipped. The 661 rod is 30 additional. So total 200 shipped. It's already 9 o'clock. Jeepers. Okay. Yeah, Nick, just shoot me an email and I'll send you the form letter so that you can, anybody that wants tools, they just shoot me an email. I'll send you the form letter. It's got all the instructions. Basically, you just send me the money PayPal, friends and family, to my email address, and I get it shipped out. Assuming you're in the United States. If you're in the lower 48, then I don't charge you additional for shipping. If you're not in the lower 48, then we got to talk about that. But to Europe, it's been like $35 to ship stuff. Canada is like 25. Europe, New Zealand, 35. And for anybody that's thinking about the tools and hasn't used them for the first time, one of the important, it is really like two kind of important things. One is always make sure that your bearings are positioned in the cases first before you even touch my tools. The bearings have to be positioned properly in the cases first. Now, however you do that is up to you. But position the bearings properly in the cases first, then you grab my tools and pull the crank through. Um, that's what you got to do. Okay. So then the second thing that is an issue for some people is don't use the small sleeve on a big saw. So I've had a couple of guys try to use the small sleeve on a 6203 bearing saw, and they splay it out. So don't do that. You can use the small rod with the large sleeve without any trouble. And if and once you try this for the first time, you'll see exactly what I'm saying. But if you want to take up the slop in there between the small rod and the large sleeve, 10 turns of electrical tape around the rod somewhere will do it. But those are really the top tips for using the tools. You don't muscle it. There's no need to muscle stuff. If you're muscling something, something's wrong. Just nice and easy. If I was going to buy a top handle chainsaw, um, Dale Echo Red Max Husky, Brandon, if you want a top handle, rebuild a 200T. If you want something that's reasonable size, build a 200T. If you want something that's tiny, then get that new Echo 2511. I haven't even tried it, but that's what I would do. If I was buying a saw that was brand new, I'd probably look at Echo. Does that help you guys? Am I being helpful here? I want to be helpful. What else? I've got a pile of threaded rod sitting outside. Um, and I got to cut that up this weekend if I can. I'm going to try to cut that up this weekend and then to my machinist, and that way we can augment stock here. I've got pretty good stock on kits, but I've got specialty rods that are waning, so I've got to get that back on track. But I'm literally having trouble keeping stuff in stock. So anybody that wants something, uh, get it quick. I really can't keep up with this, guys. I keep trying, but it's hard. Other questions, comments, anything before I go? It's 9 o'clock, and I started work at 8 this morning and ended at like 7:30, so I'm cooked. So anything else going? Yeah, Echo 355 is probably great. Again, if you want something that's reasonable size, I'd say why not rebuild a 200T? Find a 200T to rebuild, and you've got all of my videos to help you get through it. The 355 is probably a good size. I've heard good things about it. But if it was me buying a new saw, I like, my preference is to get the really little ones. So like the 2511 would probably be the ticket. I have, well, my dad has it right now. He's got the Stihl MS150 TCE. It's a really cute little saw. It's debatable whether the 150 or the 2511 is better. The 2511 certainly is possibly better bang for buck, because it's just cheaper and it's, pretty good saw. 19 people here. Jeepers. Yeah, the 200T, they tend to be blocks of gold. I mean, everybody seems to think that. Night, Larry. They tend Everybody that has them tends to think of them being blocks of gold. But what I typically do if I'm buying a used saw is I will ask, when was the last rebuild? I'm like a broken record here, but always got to ask. You're buying a used saw, ask when was the last rebuild. If the answer is I don't know, or the answer is a long time ago or whatever, or never, then the price of the saw goes down. It has to. Usually Lone Wolf, who's on Arborist site and OPE forum, he's got fully rebuilt 200Ts that are available in the $400-500 range. So why not grab one from him for something that's like got new bearings and seals in it? Do that, you know. Barry, you want to see a 288? Well, I've got the 181 build. It's effectively the same. I haven't done the final video on that. Old Echo CS280, love that saw. Yeah, some people really love the Echoes. So that big Echo that Lee has, like the 1201, that thing is enormous and it's fun. Yeah, people are convinced they're gold. Well, they're not. They're just not. So if a saw looks like it's been dragged behind a truck and it needs a rebuild, you have to say, okay, this thing needs a rebuild. I don't care how well it runs. It looks like it's been dragged behind a truck and it's never had a rebuild. Therefore, probably a good idea to do bearings, seals, gaskets. Hell, a new carburetor's $90 for those things. And by the time it's all done, you have a saw that might be worth $500. Plastics are not cheap. A new tank is north of $100. Um, could stand to have a piston in there, some new rings, whatever. So you got to be careful about paying too much for 200Ts. Again, I don't care how well it runs. You know? Hey, Patrick. You like your tools? That's good. Let me know if you have any trouble, okay? For the most part, I've had really great response to the tools. On occasion, you have a random issue, one or another. I've had a few issues with the M12 rods, but it's mainly because the Chinese cranks are out of spec, not my tools. Thanks, Barry. I don't know how much more I'll be doing this. I mean, it's 9 o'clock tonight, and I haven't even seen my family hardly, even though they're upstairs. So I need to go do that. It's been a long day, and tomorrow I'm working. Tomorrow afternoon, I'm gonna probably be doing some more chainsaw milling with this chain. So if I get a chance, maybe I'll bring you guys out there, if possible. You can hang out, watch me make a cut or two. For the record, I think people that do chainsaw milling are not right in the head. I really just 45 minutes out there with the 394. Some people love it, you know. That's good. I don't like the setup. I don't like really any aspect of chainsaw milling. The result is pretty good, but I don't know if it's worth ultimately doing it. You know, this is commission cutting, so my neighbor actually wanted slabs, so I'm making slabs for my neighbor. Anything else, guys? Before I go, gotta call it a night. I'm sorry. I'd love to hang out all night with you guys, but I gotta go see the family a little bit. You and your friend started milling with 395. Now we have a bandsaw mill. Yeah. Even the cheaper bandsaw mills are really ultimately cheaper than using a chainsaw mill, I think, especially if you factor the time in. If you're doing dimensional lumber, if you're actually making 2x4s, 2x6s, 2x12s, I really, night Gavin, I really think the bandsaw mill is the ticket. If you're milling really big stuff, slabbing, whatever, that's fine. But you need really big saws. I mean, these guys that are out there milling with tiny saws, I think it's a bad idea. 394 is minimum. Minimum. All right, we'll call it a night. Thank you so much, guys. Email me if anybody wants tools. Forgive me for being late on that stuff. I'm just so, you know, strapped for time. It's been terrible. The chain sharpener. This was $20 off of Craigslist. It's not amazing, but it does work. Barry, where's the as is saw? You might see it tomorrow out milling. I'll bring it out there. It runs good. Now it does anyway. It runs really good. So, yes, good night, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate everything. Everybody be safe, okay? Email me if you need anything. Night. Appreciate it all. Bye.